Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And then it's time to give my rankings on the starting quarterbacks, the potential starting quarterbacks heading into the 2023 NFL season. Now, how I'm going to do these rankings is not going to be based on past years' experience. They're going to play a little bit of a part to it, but it's more of what I expect from each quarterback heading into the 2023 season. And that is going to include the rookie quarterbacks from this past draft. I'm going to be ranking them as well. So before I get into the ranking of these quarterbacks, make sure you guys leave this video a like, as that continues to help this channel to grow and the beast YouTube algorithm. And if you are one of the people that are not sub, make sure you click the subscribe button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post. But it's time to rank these quarterbacks. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay, the first quarterback we're going to tackle is Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. And when he's healthy, I think he's going to be an A-tier type of quarterback. We've seen in 2022, when he was fully healthy, that offense was very explosive with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So I believe the type of season he's potential to have, if he stays healthy, and that is the big key with all the concussion history, if he stays healthy, I think he's going to have an A-tier type of season. Next, we're going to go into Jared Goff, who himself in 2022 did not have a bad season. So I'm going to put him at a B. I still think he's going to be at that, I ain't gonna say mid-tier level, but he's going to be at a steady level as far as quarterback play goes. He's a very solid quarterback for this Lions team that's still improving. I don't think he's going to be a step above what he was last year. I don't think he's going to be too far below. I think he's going to be right on that same even playing field, so I'm going to give Jared Goff a B heading into 2023. Next is Joe Burrow, one of my personal favorite quarterbacks and one of the best quarterbacks I think that we have in the NFL. His healthy seasons elevated this Bengals team to back-to-back AFC Championship game appearances and a Super Bowl appearance 2 years ago. Now, like I said, I wasn't taking too much of the past. It just seems like he gets better and better. And it's just going to be an MVP type of season, I believe, for Joe Burrow with that offense, with Chase, with Higgins, with Boyd. I think they're going to have a very explosive offense. And the improvement of Orlando Brown Jr., I think is going to be more protected. So I think he's going to push the ball down the field more, and I think he's going to have an S-tier MVP type of season. Next, we're going to go into Jordan Love. This one is a little bit tricky because we all know we haven't really seen too much of him in the past, and we don't know what to expect of him. But I still think he has some growing to do. I still think he could be a solid player. I'm going to put him at a C for right now. I could easily see him raising his level or play to a B level, but with him, it's just a wait and see of what he can actually do in the NFL. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers for the past 3 seasons. We're waiting to see fully what he's capable of, even though I think he can be capable of very good things. It's just we haven't seen it yet, and the potential is there. I think he's going to have a C season. The Packers don't really have too many weapons on that offensive side of the ball, the wide receiver position, besides Watson. So I think I'm going to put him at that C tier for the moment. Next is Brock Purdy. Even though I personally think Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback, I'm just going to put him at a C. No, I'm going to put him at a B. I'm going to put him as like an average tier. Even if Trey Lance is a starter, I will still put him in the average tier. It's just that 49ers team has so many weapons, and that offensive line is very solid, led by the best left tackle, in my opinion, in football, and Trent Williams. So even if it's still Trey Lance, and even if it was Brock Purdy, I still think they're going to steady that ship with all the weapons of Kittle and Ayuk and Samuel and McCaffrey that they have on that offense. So I'm going to put that as a B. Next is Sam Howell. I've said this before. That 2022 draft class was just not great at the quarterback position. Sam Howell did show that he can do a little bit. I don't know what to expect aspect of him. I don't think he's going to be great, and I don't think he's going to be like totally bad. I can see him at that below average tier level with even the guy like Terry McLaurin from the Ohio State University, who I believe is one of the more underrated wide receivers that we have in football. Probably one of the more underrated players that we have in football. Jahan Dotson has proved to be a really good weapon for them, and Robinson Jr. in the backfield, but I just don't know what to make of Sam Howell. I just don't see him elevating this team to that level, and I can see them easily needing a quarterback by the end of the season. Next, we're going to have Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to put Trevor Lawrence in that A tier. We started to see later on in 2022, he just got better and better when he got more comfortable with Doug Peterson's offense. His mobility is also a help for the Jacksonville Jaguars football team with that Christian Kirk signing as well. Travis Etienne is going to really help out in that running game. And I think Trevor Lawrence is just going to continue to elevate his play. Next is Aaron Rodgers. I personally, you guys know I'm a Bears fan. I don't like him, but we have to just call greatness is greatness. Even with the injuries in 2022, he was still one of those quarterbacks that elevated that Packers team to almost being in the playoffs. And with the weapons that they have on the Jets side of the football on offense and defensively, it's going to be a good football team. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a step better than what he was in 2022 when he's fully healthy and he has all of those weapons. I just don't see much of a drop off from him. And I still see him being one of the best quarterbacks in the game. So I'm going to put him at that A tier level. Next is the reigning MVP and the reigning Super Bowl champion and the reigning league MVP, Patrick Mahomes, who at this point is the best quarterback in football. Do I need to say anything more about the seasons that he's had and what he's been doing, even despite not having the best weapons last year with Tyreek Hill being gone? He still has Travis Kelce. At the end of the day, Travis Kelce is the tight end, and the wide receiver position is a whole different dynamic. And Patrick Mahomes still found ways to have success and make that work with this talent. So I'm going to put him at the S tier, and that's the easiest one I had. Next is Jalen Hurts. I'm still going to have him at that S tier. He still, I believe, is rising. He still has a lot of room to grow. And a quarterback like that was second in MVP last year, and due to the injuries, he might have won the MVP last year. With his mobility and the things that he could do throwing the football down the field as well, with those weapons in Smith and Watkins and a guy like A.J. Brown, I still believe that Jalen Hurts, I just see him continuing to get better and better and better as time goes along, and I don't see anything different happening in 2023. Next is Desmond Ridder. I'm going to put him at a D. This is the first quarterback I'm going to put at a D. I just don't believe him. I hope something proves me different. I just don't believe in Desmond Ridder right now. I just don't. He has potential to be a solid quarterback for the Falcons, but even with the weapons the Falcons have acquired this offseason, even Drake London coming back, Cordell Patterson, I just don't believe in Desmond Ridder. And I didn't see much from him last year to make me change anything about quarterbacks in 2022. I just don't. Next is Kyler Murray. Coming back off the torn ACL, I'm going to put him at that average level. I personally, my entire time of covering this channel, I've not been a big fan of Kyler Murray. Not saying fan of how he plays, it's just he's so inconsistent. Like, he has great games, he has great moments, and then it seems like later down the stretches of seasons, he drops. And I don't see too much different from this year with the Cardinals team that's pretty much in rebuild mode with all the weapons they lost on defense and some of the weapons on offense getting older. I just don't see Kyler Murray having that great of a year in 2023, and especially coming off the torn ACL injury and the style of football that he plays. I just don't see him having a great year. Next is Josh Allen, one of my personal favorite quarterbacks if you guys have been watching this channel. He still has all the weapons and Diggs and Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox. I think this season we're going to have to see less of him running the football, which I think is going to be more of him pushing the ball down the field and doing more in the passing game. Now, one thing of Josh Allen's game that needs to be corrected and needs to be, brought down a little bit is sometimes his decision making isn't great. But when he's on, Josh Allen is absolutely on, and he has MVP level talent, MVP level play. It's just sometimes that decision making has to be a little bit better, but I still believe he's an S tier type quarterback heading into 2023 in the season he can have. Next is Kenny Pickett. Now, this one's a little bit of a struggle between B and C for me. Now, Kenny Pickett is probably the best quarterback from that 2022 class. As we all know, he was the only one drafted in the first round. And the Steelers have done something with just having him play better football later. So I clicked Daniel Jones. I can actually see him having an average type of season. I think he can get better and better as time goes along, as he gets more reps and experience, and we can see that going into 2023 in the season he can have. with some of those weapons that they have on offense with a better running game I think they're going to have with Najee Harris in the backfield. So I can see a guy like Kenny Pickett having a very solid second season. Next is Daniel Jones. I'm going to put Daniel Jones in the C. He just got a big contract, which I personally not a fan of him getting that contract, but that's just the quarterback market. I've always been one that's not been big on Daniel Jones. He has athletic ability. He can run the football very well. He hasn't had a lot of weapons. I will give him a credit in that area. It's just usually when you see great quarterbacks or quarterbacks that can elevate a team, at some point you can see a Daniel Jones, even when he had healthy weapons, he just wasn't a great of a quarterback. Now, we all know last year was basically the Saquon Barkley show with that offense, but I just don't see where Daniel Jones has elevated himself to take over games and win football games for you. And I just don't see that, even with Brian Daboll and the job that he did with Daniel Jones. So I'm still going to have Daniel Jones in the C. Not a big believer in him. Today's video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. For me, it is very important to have a VPN to protect my online privacy. It'd be very, very creepy if there was someone out there who kept a log of every single thing that you did online. So why let your internet provider really do that to you online? The best thing to do is to get yourself a VPN, and why not go with ExpressVPN, the best VPN available. Personally, I like it for the fact that you can unlock Netflix shows that you do not get in the US market. Now, one show that I've started to get myself into is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You search Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the US, doesn't come up, but you can switch your location to Canada, and you can research Brooklyn Nine-Nine again, and bam, it pops up right then and there, and you can catch up on your episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now, if you click the link in the description below, you will get 3 free months of ExpressVPN. Just by clicking the link below and you sign up today, you will get 3 months free of ExpressVPN. All you have to do is click the link down below and you will get ExpressVPN. Now, let's just get back to the video. Mac Jones, I'm also going to put Mac Jones at a C. His rookie year, I think, was more of the Josh McDaniels system that they had versus him and his talents alone. I think that was more of a situation of it, and I think we started to see that in parts of 2022. He actually got benched for Bailey Zappi at some point. I'm not a big believer in Mac Jones. I wasn't a big believer in him coming into that 2021 NFL draft. So I'm going to have Mac Jones at a C at the season he can have. I just don't believe he will have that great of a year. Next is Geno Smith. I think with the weapons that they have, for adding Jackson Smith-Njigba from the Ohio State University, with the running game and Kenneth Walker, they can do a lot of things in play action, which Geno has been very strong in. With those weapons in Metcalf and a guy like Tyler Lockett, I believe Geno Smith can still have a very successful season as a Seattle Seahawks quarterback in 2023, and I think he's going to perform at a very good level, and that's why I'm going to have him at an A. This is one that's hard. Dak Prescott. I personally, when he's healthy and when he has everything right, he can be very good. It's just at times he doesn't show up. But for the season he could possibly have, with a guy like Brandon Cooks in the fold, who's been very solid and a little bit underrated throughout his career, CeeDee Lamb is starting to take steps forward. We're interested to see what Tony Pollard's going to be, because he can do both in the running back and in the receiving game with his knee injury, his leg injury. We're going to be interested to see what he can do, but Dak Prescott by himself, I still think is an A-tier type of quarterback. It could be very successful. Next is my QB1, Justin Fields. This is not biased. This is just me being honest. I see him having an A-tier type of season. With the elevated offensive line, with elevated weapons around him, his second year in the Luke Getsy offense, I still believe Justin Fields, even with him running and passing, is still going to elevate. And a lot of teams are going to be threatened of his running ability, and I think that's going to open up so much more in that passing game. And now that he has a full offseason to work with Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney back, and the acquisition of DJ Moore, he has more weapons around him. Robert Tonyan, also they acquired in the offseason. Tupera Cole-Kmet, I think that is going to elevate Justin Fields, and I think we're going to see a lot more from this Bears passing offense in 2023. Next is Anthony Richardson. I personally don't think he's going to be the starter right away. In my opinion, I think it's going to be Minshew. I can see him having a B-tier type of season for a rookie. I'm not one that's going to be expecting so much from Anthony Richardson. He still has a lot of growing and learning to do. Him being young and him not having so much college experience, but his athleticism is off the charts. He can really throw the football, and I just think he won't be the starter week 1 in my opinion. But when he does get the chance to be on the field, I think he's going to prove some things that he can do, and there's still some work to be done. But I can still, for a rookie, see him having a rookie solid season. Next is Lamar Jackson. This one's a little hard too, because he's healthy. If he's healthy, A-S tier. And I'm going to put him at the A tier. Lamar Jackson's running ability we all know about, but he's finally got a big-time type wide receiver in Odell Beckham Jr. to pair with Mark Andrews. They drafted Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. I think this is the best accumulation of weapons that he's had throughout his entire career as the Baltimore Ravens starting quarterback. And that is even including the season in 2019 where he won MVP. I think you have better weapons around him. So I think you're not going to be as dependent on him running the football because you have more weapons. And one criticism, that a small one that I've always had about Lamar, is him throwing the football outside of the numbers. That's the only criticism I've ever had about Lamar Jackson. But when he's on his game, he's an A-level, almost S-tier type of quarterback. Next is going to be Justin Herbert. I'm going to put him at an A-tier type of quarterback. I still believe that when he's healthy and he has the weapons around him, he can also be very successful. Justin Herbert had played a lot of the season last year with the rib injury. They did just bring back Austin Eckler for sure, and he's going to make a difference in that passing game and running game as well. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, if those two can stay healthy, which has been a struggle for the last couple of years with those two, but healthy, and Justin Herbert's talent, I think you're going to start to see him elevate even more and get this Chargers team into the playoff. Next is going to be my guy from The Ohio State, CJ Stroud. I'm not going to be one of those guys that expects him to change his Texas right away. With his accuracy that we've seen at Ohio State, and he still needs a little bit more weapons around him in my opinion, I still believe from his talent standpoint and the things that he can do as far as throwing the football, we're going to have CJ Stroud at the B tier. Next is Derek Carr. I'm also going to put him at a B tier, even though he can play his way to an A. He has a lot of weapons around him in New Orleans with Michael Thomas from The Ohio State. Chris Olave's The Ohio State. I think he can have a better impact on his Saints football team than what we saw from last year with Jameis Winston, what we saw last year with Andy Dalton. I just don't think at this point, Derek Carr's not the failure, don't get me wrong. He's not the part of why the Raiders failed. I just don't think he is the guy that's going to elevate them to like a Super Bowl contender. He's going to have MVP level type of status, but I can see him having a very good quarterbacking season with the New Orleans Saints in 2023. Next is Matthew Stafford. His injury bug that is the worst thing for me. But when he's on, he's on. But I'm going to have to put them at like the average type tier, mainly because they don't have a lot with the Rams. Cooper Kupp is the main thing coming back, and he's coming off of an injury as well. So it's just Matthew Stafford's injury history. I don't think we're going to see a full healthy season of him, but when he's healthy, he's a very solid quarterback in his league. It's just the Rams are just in a total depletion of a lot of their roster. So I'm going to put him at a B. Baker Mayfield, this one's tough, but I'm going to put Baker Mayfield at a C. He did show a little bit of a resurgence when he was signed with the Rams last year. It's just at some point, I think he's going to get benched. I think he's going to get benched at some point, because I think the Buccaneers want to see what they have in Kyle Trask. I think at some point, if his play starts to diminish, and with Baker Mayfield's career history, we can see that happening, and I think it will happen in 2023, and I think he's going to get benched for Kyle Trask at some point in 2023. I just don't know when, but I think he's going to get benched, and he's not going to have a great of a year, which is why I'm going to put him at a C. Next is going to be Ryan Tannehill. He's going to get benched too. He's older. He hasn't had the greatest of history the last year or two. I just don't see him lasting a full season as well. He's kind of in that same Mayfield kind of a window. Like at some point he's going to get benched, either if it may be for Willis or if it may be for Will Levis, who they drafted this past draft. I just don't see Tannehill being great or good much at all. And I think he's more going to be there as veteran backup at some point, because I don't think he's lasting a full season with Willis and Levis behind him. I just don't see it. And once his play struggles, he's going to get benched. Russell Wilson. I'm going to put Russell Wilson at B. Even his last year in Seattle wasn't so great. Last year, we all know how much of a disaster that was. They did improve their offensive line, so I think we're going to see him on his feet more often. I just don't think Russell Wilson is that prime Russell Wilson anymore. He's still a very good quarterback, do not get me wrong. But 2023, I think we're going to see things that it may have been a little bit more of Russ. Even though he has Sean Payton, I just don't think Russell Wilson is that, I want to say, top tier quarterback that he used to be in his prime and his better days. But I still think he's going to be a very solid quarterback for the Broncos. Next is Deshaun Watson. I'm going to put Deshaun Watson at the A tier. We didn't see him, of course, last year too much. I think he's going to elevate this Cleveland Browns team now that he's going to have a full season under his belt. And I think he, when healthy and when he's available, is one of the better quarterbacks that we have in the league. He showed it during his time with the Texans, and I think he's going to continue to show that now that he has a full offseason under his belt, and he's knowing that he's going to be available for most part for the full season. So I like Deshaun Watson's game with his mobility as well, so I'm going to put Deshaun Watson at the A tier. Next is Jimmy G. I'm going to put him at B. He's going to have an average, I think, season. Having Devontae Adams is going to help. Losing Darnell Waller is not the greatest of things, but I think at this point for the Raiders, they just don't need great out of their quarterback play. I think they still have a lot of holes to fix on defense, but that's another video. Jimmy G coming into this year, he hasn't always been great. He hasn't always been healthy either. It's just, I believe he's going to have that Jimmy G average, solid type of a season. Next is going to be Bryce Young. I am going to put him in that same category as like a CJ Stroud and an Anthony Richardson from that draft. He's going to have a solid rookie year. The Panthers did do some things, getting DJ Chark, Adam Thielen to bait in the fold with that offense, Miles Sanders as well. So I think you're going to see Bryce Young kind of like CJ, kind of like Anthony Richardson almost. You're going to see solid rookie year. I don't see him being the world beater or blowing the top off the field or anything like that, but I do see him improving and having a very solid season with the Carolina Panthers. And last but not least, Kirk Cousins, who he has a tendency to go small a little bit, but when he's on his game, he's on his game. And he has the weapons in Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson to prove it. And I think he's still going to have that solid season. And we remember last year, Kirk Cousins was in discussion for MVP for a better half of the first half of the season. I think he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that he gets a lot of criticism, but when you really watch and play in his game, he's very, very solid. And I think he's going to have an A-tier type of a season just like he did in 2022. This is my quarterback ranking heading into 2023. If you guys agree or disagree with any of the quarterbacks, make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And make sure you guys leave this video a like as it continues to help this channel to grow. And make sure you click the sub button and notification bell so you not miss any of the videos. And I'm going to make sure that you guys watch the end of the video. If you've watched it to this point, make sure you comment your thoughts on who can be league MVP in 2023. But that's all I have. APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.